Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, church family. It is hump day, and you are now tuned in to the pre worship experience. I'm your host, Miss Crystal Goodner Spratt, and boy, do we have so much to talk about. But guess what? I'm not doing it by myself. I am bringing in the fabulous, the lovely. Listen, she truly does not need an introduction. We love her here. She's one of our own. Councilwoman Miss Paula McCraney. Good evening, Councilwoman. How are you?
Hello. Good to see you, Crystal.
Well, it's good to see you, and you are looking quite fabulous. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year is right. You know what? I normally stay up after midnight every year so that I can usher in a new year. But this year I was a little pessimistic. I think I stayed up to make sure that 2020 left us.
I think I know what you're saying. To keep looking around. Is it gone? Is it gone?
Exactly. Adios, sayonara, bye bye.
Adios. But talking off camera, you shared with me that you were among the many hundreds of our wonderful church members that tuned in to our watch night service. Talk about it. Could you believe what we went through as a church family in 2020? And you said something very heartfelt, touched you in this experience. Talk about that.
Well, I tell you, the entire night was incredible. Just to hear from everybody about what went into making sure we were live when we couldn't really be in the service. And
Yes.
that was wonderful. But what really touched my heart was the memoriam. And when I saw all of the church members who had passed, it just warmed my heart and it ached my heart. I tell
Mm.
you, I could think, I said, I didn't know. Oh my, she died. Oh, he passed away. And to think that one day we will go back into the sanctuary and I won't get to hug those members, it just hurts so badly to think about that.
And you're bringing something up that I guess a lot of us didn't think about, but looking at the memorial and seeing how many people we lost. And that's why it's so important to, love on one another while we're here and while we still have the chance. So go ahead, give us some hearts, give us some likes, and share this broadcast. You're tuned into the pre worship experience. Service begins at 7 p.m., and you do not want to miss a powerful word from the Lord. Real quick, Councilwoman McCraney, Rev's sermon on Sunday. It's about time, where he talked about the importance of time and talked about not squandering time. What a timely word to start us off in the new year. Did that resonate with you?
Well, he's always profound, and every sermon is always timely. But that right there was just the way to kick 2021 into gear. And I tell you what, if we don't watch our time and if we don't really abide by, we have just so much to live for, and we've got to give it our all in the time that we have. I tell you what, my Rev is something else.
I like that, my Rev. And speaking of time, you called it such a time as this. When you decided to run for office, the city looked a lot different than what it looked like now, but you kind of felt as if the Lord knew what he was preparing you for such a time as this. Talk about it.
Well, in fact, you're absolutely correct. The city looks totally different than when it was that I ran for office. And while I certainly didn't know the interworkings of government behind the scenes, I knew what our community looked like and I knew what some of the community needs were. But I tell you, my first year on the job, in the fact, the first month, we were presented with a budget. And I understand that it had been the worst budget ever presented to the Metro Council since its
Wow.
inception. And what
Wow.
was so incredible about it was presented to us as if we needed to raise taxes. And it was, if we didn't do it, then social services would be cut, police officers would be cut, the budget for youth development would be cut. And I mean, we were presented with a dire opportunity. and it looked just really negative. And so that's why I say I was indeed allowed to win my race for such a time as this, because my background is in banking and I'm a former lender. And so what I did was take that big budget binder and I looked through every page and I wanted to discover if indeed we need to raise taxes. I want to be able to justify it to my constituents. But as I was going through the budget binder, I was seeing things where I thought, well, if we move this over here and if we just do this, let me ask about this program. Is it effective? If not, let's do away with it. And so I started asking questions and pushing back on some of the rhetoric. And lo and behold, we didn't have to raise taxes. I saw that we had enough to survive and to pay the pension bill that we had before us. And I stuck to what I knew, my training in banking and listening to my constituents. And I did the right thing. I voted against the tax increase. At the end of the year, we had a $17 million surplus.
Whoa.
That lets
Oh,
you know
wow.
I did the right thing and we
You
did
did
not have to raise taxes.
you did the right thing. You continue to keep doing the right thing. Let's talk about what took place today. I know that you have been very busy when the city mayor, Greg Fisher, announced the new police chief. Her name is Erica Shields, and she is the former Atlanta police chief who stepped down after one of her officers fatally shot a black man. So she's taking over as the leader of Louisville's police force. How did you feel about the decision? What's the feeling like in the air down there?
Well, what I do know is that it's going to take each and every one of us in this community to rally behind this announcement and to make certain that she is successful. And she's going to be only as effective and successful as we allow her to be. So when they
Mhm.
made the announcement, what I heard was she rose to the top. She was the cream of the crop of what they looked at, the resumes that they reviewed and the people that they interviewed. So I
Mm,
have to trust that the people on that panel, which actually three of my own colleagues were a part of that process, I have to
mhm.
trust the process. And so here she is. She's starting on the 19th, and we've got to give her an opportunity to succeed.
Wow, an opportunity to succeed. One of the big parts of this year, and a lot of people are looking forward to, is the Civilian Review Board. And I understand that you all have already made your selections, and one of them is our very own. But talk about that.
Okay, so here's another piece of listening to the community and police reform and all types of civil injustice and reforming the way we see our community, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
The Civilian Review Board. And I am so very proud of the work that we have done to create the Civilian Review and Accountability Board. And the Metro Council had 3 seats that we could nominate for the 11-member board members. And so out of the 3 seats, we could nominate 2 names for each of those seats. And we then had to go back and say, for this seat, this is a 1 year term. This seat is a 2 year term. And the third seat that we have to nominate for, it's a 3 year term. And we were very careful. There was a 3-member selection committee that the president of the Metro Council put together. I happen to have been one of the 3 to get to look at the 75 applications that we received through Metro
Wow,
Council.
75. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we had to look at a lot, and we were careful to look at not only their qualifications, but to look at demographics to make sure we had a balance in racial